It's Monday, April 11th, 2016. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Rochelle Metzger. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, it's the final day of the 2016 Maryland General Assembly session. It ends at midnight, and any bill that has not been passed by both the House and Senate will have to be reintroduced next year. A conference committee is working on an agreement for a wide-ranging police reform bill. A key issue is whether to include citizens on police trial boards and whether they should have a vote on disciplinary decisions. Also, the legislature will take final votes on a compromise version of the Justice Reinvestment Act. Prince George's delegation chair Jay Walker says he has mixed feelings about the sweeping criminal justice reform bill.
I don't think anybody says this is the exact bill that we want to have, but it's going in the right direction. Some accountability. We got some issues we need to deal with. Addiction is a big one, which we really support. Trying to stop addiction, the crime aspects of it, we need to deal with that as well. So there's a little bit of give and take. The key is we want to make sure we're just not allowing, more drug dealers out there on the street. But we have to do public safety first. But at the same time, there seems to be numbers and data that suggest that maybe what we are doing currently isn't working. So this is an attempt to get us going in the right direction with regards to incarceration for African American men.
And a measure to provide income tax cuts will go to conference committee to work out a disagreement over how big cuts should be for higher income earners.
Gave a tax cut for everybody. So if you're making $150,000 and less, you get a tax cut. If you're making $150,000 and more, you get a tax cut on your first $150,000. The Senate wanted to give a tax cut for those high income earners, those over $150,000 only. So we didn't really like that in the House. So I think we've got a pretty good position trying to help out all Marylanders.
Several other high priority bills that are still on the table include a more than $37 million tax break for Northrop Grumman and a study of oyster populations in the Chesapeake Bay. Well, last-minute amendments added onto Noah's Law could jeopardize it from being passed. It's named after a Montgomery County police officer who was killed by a suspected drunk driver. It would expand the use of ignition locks on vehicles. However, advocates are worried that the legislation could be derailed because of changes made to the bill that would include punitive damages and civil suits against those convicted.
I think they're going to get the job done, because to do otherwise would be harming the citizens of Maryland. More innocent people would be dying inexcusably at their hands now, not necessarily at the hands of drunk drivers, because if they couldn't get this legislation done this year, we have another 130, 140 victims that are unnecessary, because we know this legislation would probably reduce that amount by 20 to 40%. So essentially, if this doesn't get done, to put it frankly, it's blood on their hands.
Noah's Law has passed the third reading in the Senate. It's currently in a conference committee awaiting a vote. Well, the 2016 legislative session turned out to be a great one for Prince George's, according to County Executive Rashawn Baker. But he admits it's been one of the hardest he's had to deal with in a long time. Baker says the county was able to secure funding for its top priorities thanks to lawmakers who worked to overcome hurdles from the Hogan administration.
Our number one issue was the hospital, and so we're getting that. We're going to get surety that the funding will be there, and it would allow us to move forward. We're getting more money in education, so we're happy with that. It's not what we wanted, not the amount that we asked for. We asked the governor to put the $20 million in the geographic index for our school system. Put that money in the budget that was allotted last year. We didn't get that, but we did get around $41 million for our school system, and we're going to get additional money for the construction of schools. There were a couple of things that we would like to have seen. We put a couple of bills in dealing with attracting the FBI to come to Prince George's County to make put some sweeteners in there if those didn't make it out. We wanted to see a more robust plan around transportation. That didn't happen. The governor's emphasis on, roads and bridges, which I have plenty of in Prince George's County, that money did not come to the county the way that we thought it should, given the fact that
Baker says he is also pleased that the legislation to create a strategic partnership between the University of Maryland, Baltimore and the flagship campus in College Park is a go. He says uniting forces will attract more grant funding and boost the local economy. Meantime, Baker says he will be closely monitoring a bill that could impact Laurel Regional Hospital. The measure would allow medical facilities to open without obtaining a certificate of need from the state. Well, a high-ranking enforcement officer is today on the other side of the law following a domestic violence dispute at his Pasadena home. Officers arrested Anne Arundel County Sheriff Ronald Bateman last night on second-degree assault charges. The sheriff's wife called 911 to report Bateman assaulted her. During a press conference today, officials say the victim had abrasions and bruises on her face. Sheriff Bateman's weapons and credentials have been taken from him as the investigation into the case continues. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Rochelle Metzger.